India, officially the Republic of India, is a country in South Asia. It is the seventh largest country by area and has the second biggest population in the world. It lives no less than 1.2 billion people in India. The capital of India is New Delhi, where approximately 17 million people lives, and that's not even the most populated city. India has the highest mountains in the world, but also deserts, rainforests and enormous deltas. The variety of India's landscape makes it impossible to generalize the climate. However, the climate is considered to be tropical. Weather conditions are unstable and monsoons, floods and cyclones are unpredictable. Despite that, they like us divide the year into 4 seasons: winter January to February, summer March to May, a monsoon season June to September, and a post-monsoon season October till December. South of India is the Indian Ocean, southwest is the Arabic Sea, and southeast is the Bay of Bengal. It shares land borders with Pakistan to the west, China, Nepal and Bhutan to the northeast, and Burma and Bangladesh to the east. India has an area of about 3.3 million square kilometers and a coastline of 7,000 kilometers. Some parts of India is very poor, for example the city Bihar, and it was here in Bihar La was born.
One day when La was about 6 years old, she got to learn about history in school. In today's class, we are going to talk about India's history, which is closely tied to its geography. India's name comes from the Indus River. One thing is for sure, India has always been simply too big, too complicated, and too culturally subtle to let any single empire dominate it for long. In the mid-1800s, British engineers were constructing a railway line in India between Karachi and Punjab. By accident, they discovered India's most ancient civilization when they found 5,000 years old bricks. Afterwards, 2 cities were discovered, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The ancient civilization was known as the Indus. Dating back to 3000 BC, they originated in the south and moved north, building complex cities. The Indus civilization extended over 500,000 square miles across the Indus River Valley, and even outlasted the ancient civilizations of Egypt and Sumer. The Aryans invaded India in 1500 BC. They brought with them cultural traditions that still remain here today. The Aryans was the ones who established the basis of the Indian religions and introduced the caste system. Eventually, the Aryans built kingdoms throughout northern India. Later, while the Persians and Greeks oppressed the Indus Valley and the northwest, the Aryans' kingdoms developed in the east. The religion of Buddhism was founded in the 5th century BC by Siddhartha Gautama. During the 16th century, the Portuguese came and established trade with India. Eventually, the British, French and Germans came as well. Back then, India was rich in spices, tea, silk and cotton, which was highly demanded in Europe. Unfortunately, the Europeans did not pay enough for these valuable goods. The British began to compete with the Portuguese, the Dutch and the French, and they gained control of all European trade in India by 1769. It was done through a system called the Raj. The Raj helped build and develop infrastructure and establish an administration. When Hindu soldiers found out in 1858 that the British were greasing their bullets with the fat of cows and pigs, a rebellion against the British ensued. The Indians desired independence, and tensions between Hindus and Muslims started to develop. What eventually led the country to independence was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who called for unity between the two groups in 1915. Unlike many other leaders, Gandhi gained independence through a non-violent mass movement, and that makes him the most remarkable leader our world has ever known. He was wearing homespun clothes to weaken the British textile industry, and was orchestrating a march to the sea, where demonstrators proceeded to make their own salt in protest against the British monopoly. Indians gave Gandhi the name Mahatma, or Great Soul, and the British promised to leave India by 1947. Gandhi was leading a largely Hindu movement, whilst Muhammad Ali Jinnah was fronting a group called the Muslim League. After the British left in 1947, India was split into the separate states of Bangladesh and Pakistan, and violence erupted. Within weeks, 500,000 people had died due to the greatest migration of human beings in the world's history. The British then returned to help restore order in India. Today, India, Bangladesh and Pakistan are three separated states. India's long history has affected today's India in many ways. Due to the British colonization, India has not only one national language, but two languages, Hindi and English.
One day, when Lala was 12 years old, she was walking to the temple with her father, and she realized she knew almost nothing about the Indian religions. She didn't even know much about her own religion, Hinduism. So she asked her father, and he started telling her all about the religion of India. Religion in India is characterized by a diversity of religious beliefs and practices. India is the birthplace of 5 of the world's major religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Jainism, and Sikhism. Today, Hinduism is the most practiced religion in India. In 2001, it was approximately 80.5% of the Indian population who practiced it. To know about Hinduism is therefore key to understand the Indian culture. Hinduism is the oldest religion on the planet, and there is more than 1 million people who practice it. Many practitioners refer to Hinduism as Sanatana Dharma, which means the eternal law or the eternal way. The 3 main gods in Hinduism, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, are often called the Trimurti, which means 3 forms. Hinduism includes a wide spectrum of laws and prescriptions of daily morality based on karma and dharma. Believing in karma means that you believe that the intent and action of an individual influence the future of that individual. Good intent and good deed contribute to good karma and future happiness, while bad intent and bad deed contribute to bad karma and future suffering. They also believe that your soul or spirit, after your biological death, begins a new life in a new body that may be human, animal, or spiritual, depending on the moral quality, in other words karma, of your previous life. Dharma signifies behaviors that accords with the order that makes life and universe possible. Living by Dharma simply is the right way of living. Another belief is that each living creature on this planet has a soul, and all these souls are a part of a supreme soul called Paramatma. The ultimate aim of human life is to be one with the supreme soul. This is called nirvana or moksha, and it practically means that you would stop reincarnate. Since they believe animals and humans has the same souls, all animals are sacred. Cows are the animals that is thought to be most sacred. That is because they believe the cow also is a symbol for the goddess Lakshmi, who represents good fortune.
Indian cuisines use numerous ingredients and cooking techniques. It is known for its liberal use of spices and herbs. Indian cuisine can be divided into 5 categories: Northern, Southern, Eastern, Western, and Northeastern. Much of Indian food is eaten with fingers or bread used as utensils. There is a wide array of breads served with meals, including naan, a leavened, oven-baked flatbread, and bhatura, a fried, fluffy flatbread common in North India and eaten with chickpea curry. Rice is usually a part of the meal too. Indian meat dishes consist of chicken or goat. Many Indians are vegetarians though, so Indian cuisine also includes vegetarian dishes. For women, the traditional clothing is a sari, a 4 to 9 meter long sheet of colorful cloth draped over the body. The material can be cotton or silk. The sari is usually embroidered at the borders, often with real gold. It is usually worn over a petticoat with a blouse called choli or ravita. Salwar kameez is another popular dress for women. It consists of a loose shirt and loose trousers and originates from Muslim immigrants from Turkey and Afghanistan. Often a debera or scarf is used to cover the head. An important part of Indian women's clothing and makeup is the bindi. Bindi means drop and is a forehead decoration common in South Asia. They come in many designs, colors, and materials. For men, the most common clothing is a kurta, a long loose shirt falling down to the knees, worn over a pair of loose trousers. The kurta can also be worn with jeans or a dhoti, a white sheet of cloth wrapped around the body. The traditional Indian style of clothing is still followed in rural areas. However, in the cities clothing habits are changing. The influence from Europe and the USA has resulted in many people wearing jeans and t-shirts and other fashionable clothes. India has one of the oldest and largest film industries in the world. It's called Bollywood and it has its major film in Mumbai and Calcutta. 1,000 films are made every year. The industry became famous in 1930 in India, but in 1960 the film started to reach other countries around the world. Bollywood is most famous for the dances, music, and clothes that are shown in the movies. Something that also is special with the movies is that you can taste various genres in the same movie. You get to see comedy, drama, romance, and action all at the same time. The dancing in India is an important part of the culture, and it's very popular in Bollywood movies. Dancing traditions of India have influence not only in India, but also in the whole South Asia. The dance varieties in different parts of the country, where every local tradition has its special dance, but 8 dances are classified as traditionals. We can see a lot of them in their movies, and they're often performed in festivals. They are often noted for their idiosyncrasies. The dance consists of hand gestures, which shows the moves that their gods do. The Hindus believe that the dance has been conceived by Brahma. That is why the dancing has become so common in India. It has always been a functional activity dedicated to worship, entertainment, and leisure. With different religions and cultures, there are different festivals celebrated in India every year. While some festivals are celebrated regionally, others are celebrated nationally. The whole country as one, united and liberated. Each festival is celebrated with great enthusiasm and great spirit. Holi is one of many festivals in India. It's a festival of colors and celebrated all over India where people throw color or gulal at each other.
When Lalala was 20 years old, her husband became the Prime Minister of India. Lalala did not know a lot about politics, so she asked her husband, "My love, can you please tell me more about India's complicated political system?" "Of course, I would do anything for you," he answered. "India is the largest democracy in the world. It has the biggest number of people with franchise rights and the largest number of political parties. Back in 1996, almost 600 million people voted in the elections. India is a democratic republic where the president is head of state and the prime minister, in this case myself, is the head of government. Elections are held in different levels, where the two mayor elections are at national level, after which the national government is established, and at state level, after which the state government is established. India is divided into 28 states and 7 union territories, where each state has a leader of their own, called the Chief Minister. The state elections are held every 5 years, and as you may know, you're allowed to vote once you are 18 years old. "Oh, my husband, you're such a wise man," said Lalala tenderly.
The varied climate and landscape make it an ideal place for the wildlife. It has rich and varied biodiversity. In India you can find exotic animals. Sometimes you can't even find them in other countries. You can find Asiatic lions, Asian elephants, Great Indian rhinoceros, pangolin, nilgai, Indian flying fox, lion-tailed macaque, and this Bengal tiger is the national animal. Indians preaches for every form of life. That is why the animals are protected and taken good care of by the Indians. There is even protection law.
One day Lalala thought it was time for kids to learn about the economy in India. Asia's third largest economy is currently being weighed down by high inflation, a weak currency, and bad foreign investments, causing the annual growth rate to be below 5%. Lalala said, "Even though we live in a country with one of the largest and fastest growing economies in the world, it is still one of the poorest. There are many reasons to this. According to World Bank's chief economist Kashi Basu, poor governance and inadequate infrastructure is what's holding up the growth in India." The kids asked, "Why is this?" "Well, the slow growth has been going on for a couple of years or so, but India's economy has seen much worse days. The economy was already on the downfall when British imperialism completely crushed it with high taxes. Wars and the First World Oil Crisis also played their part of the problem. Economic liberalization in the 1990s led to big changes, and around the year 1994 the growth finally turned over." "Mother, what do they have to do to make it all better?" the kids asked. "That's an interesting question, my son. Let me start by telling you that there are two big challenges for India to overcome. First, the poor government. Decisions take too long to determine, and the bureaucracy is troublesome. These things will be hard to change, as they have stayed this way for the past 60 years. The second challenge is the infrastructure. In short, we need better infrastructure. If both the government and the infrastructure can be improved, I think that the prospects are looking good."